we have talked about three main ways of pivoting into entrepreneurship. If you could share the journey of the things that you considered, and then what did you land on?
Okay, yeah, this is good. I've listened to some of the others in the series. So I know there's also that fourth category, right? Which is acquire an existing franchise. I think your last guest or a couple of guests ago, he had knocked that out. So I started with the premise that like, I love solving problems and learning more about that end user and what they need and what I'm offering or building, or in this case now selling. So as long as there's always that opportunity, I can be pretty engaged. I started thinking, I fell pretty deeply into acquisition entrepreneurship as a path for me, because I've been waiting for years, like I mentioned earlier, years and years to have my idea that just had to get done. Because I've worked in startups with other founders who came up with pretty unique approaches to solving a problem, and they just had to run after it. And I joined them on some of those journeys. It's like I kept waiting to like have my little aha moment of like, this has to be brought to life and I can do it. And it never came, or it hasn't yet come. And as the more I read, first it was Buy Then Build, then I skimmed the HBR guide, started to read a lot more online, joined other conversations that were happening or communities wherever I could find them. I ended up even joining the acquisition lab over there with Walker and Chelsea, and got to know other searchers and learn alongside them and Walker's team. It was so obvious to me that's a great choice, because at least from my background, like getting able to join something that's an operating concern, a going concern, and find ways to improve it based on a really smart group of people that are already there having some success. I don't want to go too far down that path because you've talked about it, and I ultimately didn't. It's not where I ended up this time. I started looking at that probably around, I started this whole journey like March, April of 2024. And I would say I joined the lab in about May. And then later in the summer, after having a few near misses, like I was saying, I kind of got a little deep with this one seller, didn't work out. Same thing with another for a different reason, either for me or for them. And as the time started going, I was like, again, it's not like now or never, but at some point, maybe I should broaden my aperture of what I'm considering, because I had never wanted to I never wanted to own a franchise. I always felt like they were too business in a box or limiting, or, I wanted to have more creative control or freedom to make certain decisions all the time, even with the downsides. And I wanted a chance to write my own SOPs, not just follow them. And so I was pretty much turned off of those for the first several months, 5 or 6 months. And then later in the summer, when a couple of things came and went, I was like, all right, maybe you're wrong about a lot of things, but at least one of those things could be this. And so I started reading more and expanding out. And I got to say, if you open yourself up to franchises, and I think one of your guests recently is a franchise consultant, they're very good at their jobs in both finding you, connecting you, getting everybody understood, helping everybody understand like what's at stake here or what's a good fit. But I think it's interesting because you're being sold to as well, right? Once you raise your hand, it's like, oh, we'll find you. Franchises and franchisors are going to try to find you to find the right match. And so that definitely picked up the deal flow. As soon as I raised my hand, being kind of interested in a different model, whether it's an acquisition or starting a new territory, I got a lot more inbound kind of coming my way. And so I started evaluating those and ultimately narrowed it down. To finally answer your question, I got down to like 3 to 5 kind of options that felt pretty good. I ended up landing on Go Painting. So I currently run a commercial painting business that serves the multifamily apartments and HOA communities, retail spaces, office buildings, industrial facilities, and even some special purpose facilities like churches, arenas, stadiums, libraries, schools, that kind of thing. So it's B2B, which is part of my background is B2B anyway, but it's definitely a different set of skills needed to kick this off in a new market.